Hello, thank you so much for joining me. It's Kirsten and we're at the start of another weekly vlog, although at this point it's a half-weekly vlog, but never mind. It's been a busy start to the week. I was at the Greenwich store yesterday, so a wee bit more travelling and stuff, but it was enjoyable. Always enjoy going there. It's just a nice relaxation time away from my usual store, so that was great. Anyway, we're not going to keep talking about work, we're going to talk about what I'm reading. So I am listening to Cemetery Boys by Adrian Thomas. This has come over from last week and I am enjoying it. It is a lighter, kind of more YA, younger spectrum read, and I like it. It's by the same author that did Lost in the Neverland, which was a Peter Pan retelling, and that came out as 3 stars. I did enjoy it. It had some like darker aspects, but it has that younger feel to it, which is exactly the same as Cemetery Boys. We're following our Latinx main character, who's also a transgender boy and gay, and he is struggling with that with his family because they're very old-fashioned. They don't see things in that way, and he is trying to prove that he can be a things get a little bit out of hand, and now he's caught up trying to help this spirit, and there's a bit of a mystery, and it is a lot of fun, but it is that younger read. So yeah, still in listening to that. And physically, for those of you that have been watching my weekly vlogs this month, you'd know that I haven't been reading Anna Karenina, but this I'm actually putting on hold. I think the last bit of this book is going to be really good because the pacing has definitely picked up, but for those of you that have watched my other ones, you'd know that this chunk here was really hard to get through. And that's mainly because of the amount of farming stuff that we have with Levin. It's just so dry. But I'm not going to talk about that because I've talked about it for the last 2 weeks because I was getting so frustrated. But now I'm at the last chunk to go. I've got about 280 pages left to go, but I am not prioritising it this week because I am thinking it's going to be good and it's going to make the rest of the book worth it. But I have 2 other books on my TBR that I really need to finish, and I don't want to be taking a punishment pick for July because my July TBR is huge. So this won't count as a punishment even if I don't finish the last few pages on my TBR game, just because I've read the majority of the book, so it's fine. But I do have 2 books left to read, and one of them is Wuthering Heights, which I started yesterday, and this is by Emily Bronte, and it's really good. I'm really enjoying it. It definitely has more of like a darker tone to it. We're following our main character, Mr. Lockwood, and he has arrived to Wuthering Heights and he is letting out the house that's on that property, and he goes to meet his, well, the person he's renting it from, and he gets a very cold greeting. Mr. Heathcliff is a very hard man and he does not take well to other people at all, and then he meets the rest of the people in that household and he realises how peculiar everything is and how cold and standoffish everyone is. And so when he gets back to the place where he's staying, his housekeeper grew up with Heathcliff and starts telling him what happened, and it is a really dark and brutal story. Like, it's so harsh, and I was quite surprised at how dark it was, but I'm really enjoying it. I think it's really good. It's really captured my attention, and yeah, I'm enjoying this a lot. I'm up to page 74, so I have a wee little while to go yet, but this is really good. I think it's really got a nice gothic-y atmosphere to it, and I'm so intrigued to see where this story is going to go and how all these characters, like, it's such a tangled mess. It's good, but yeah, I've always heard like how Heathcliff is not a very nice character and things like that, and you can really see that, but I can also see why. Like, I really can see why he's like that. So yeah, so I'm going to be finishing this one. I also want to read Lady Chatterley's Lover, which is over there, so I'm not going to go and get it. So I'm going to prioritise those 2, and then I'm going to finish up this because we have this whole week and we have a few days left of June next week, which is probably when I'm going to finish this. So that's the plan. We have a classics reading week. I am really intrigued and I do want to get back to this, but I know to finish my TBR on time I should really prioritise these classics instead, which honestly I cannot complain about. This is a much easier read than Anna Karenina. It's so easy to follow and I'm not feeling fidgety after like 50 pages like I was with Anna Karenina. This is really holding my attention, so really enjoying this and can't wait to see where it goes from there. But for now I do have work and then I'm off tomorrow, but I've got a few bits that I need to do in the morning before then heading out in the afternoon as usual. So yeah, we'll see what the week brings, but fingers crossed it's going to be an enjoyable classics reading week. So let me know what you all have been up to, grab a hot drink and let's see what happens next. Good morning. So I have another update 1 day later, which You know what? I don't know what's going on with this fringe today. It is just all over the place. Anyway, I read some more of Wuthering Heights and I really wanted to talk about it because I am loving it. I think it is so good. It's definitely a darker gothic read and it has perfect elements of like atmosphere, and I think this would work so well if you were reading this in October time or on a really like stormy evening. It just works so well. And I love the fact that the way this is written is that you're almost like you're Mr. Lockwood, because you are being told the story that he is being told while he's recovering in bed, and I love it. It is so intriguing. There is so much like drama and just it's great. It's got a great atmosphere to it. Now I will say there's actually tons and tons of like trigger warnings in this. We have alcoholism, we have abuse, we have child abuse, we've got animal cruelty. There is just so much in this book. It's unreal, but it works so well. Like, it is very aggressive and brutal, and it's such a harsh world that these people are living in. Like, their family dynamic is so harsh, yet it just grips me. Like, I can't put it down because I'm always wanting to know what's happening, what's going on, you know, what's causing all of this. And yeah, it's so interesting, and I think all the characters in here are done really, really well. And I like how Miss Catherine is portrayed in here, and she has these temper swings which are unreal, and it brings her to this level of passion in her, and it's so good. Like, honestly, it's so good. I'm really, really interested. But yeah, loads of trigger warnings. Do go into it knowing that it is that kind of a darker read, because I thought it would be a little bit, but I hadn't really heard how much it actually is. So it is a little bit difficult to read in places, especially if you're triggered by those certain things. For me, I'm just super intrigued. I think it works so well. Yeah, this could actually be a new favourite classic. Like, I'm loving it, and I think all the gothic elements to it work so well, and I'm just surprised at how much it actually talks about the baseness of human nature and how people's opinions of like what's right and what is wrong can be so skewed. And yeah, it's just so cruel so much of the time, and yet I can't put it down. It is very, very good. I wasn't expecting it to be this good, to be quite honest. I was a little bit unknown because there's been so many like mixed reviews about this book, and some people saying it's not that good, but actually I think it's so cleverly done and it talks about so much, and that's what I'm talking about, is just the surface of it, you know? I feel like you could really, really delve deep into the themes that are going on, the point that it's trying to get across, and yeah. It's brilliant, and that's why I wanted to come back on here after an evening of reading it, because I was like, there is just so much to unpack about this book. So yeah, this is amazing. It is a new favourite. I actually had some ambience as well of like a thunderstorm, because it just worked so well with this book, this narrative. It just is perfect, especially because where we are in the book, we've got Mr. Lockwood that is recovering from being caught out in the snow, and he's like, you know, it's storming and everything, and it just works so bloody well with the book. So yeah, it just is really good. Really good. This is one that I would honestly reread every year around like autumn winter time, because I just feel like it's got the perfect vibes for it. Like, people have always said that, but I can really see it. Like, yes, I'm loving this book. And that's all I really came on here to say, is how much I'm enjoying this book, how much I didn't expect to get from this. I think it's so well done. Honestly, it could honestly beat Jane Eyre. And Jane Eyre is my favourite classic of all time. Now, honestly, I'd have to reread Jane Eyre to be 100% sure on that, because I think Jane Eyre will always have a special place in my heart. But this is definitely up there. This is so good. But yeah, so I'm going to stop gushing about this. And other than that, I haven't done much, because clearly we've been like, what, 24 hours since I last spoke to you, so you know. But I have fallen into the world of vintage journaling. I've seen little things about it before, but never really been that interested. And now I'm like, gosh, it looks so good. I love the aesthetic of it all. So I might do a trial page, test it out and see if I like creating it. And if I do, I might add a video of that, and then if, you know, you like it and stuff, that's something I can carry on with, because I do have 2 journaling videos that I do a month anyway, one for my bullet journal, one for my reading journal. So if I like it and I like the vintage journaling, it's almost like a scrapbook aesthetic, which is something a bit different, I might do another video a month dedicated to that, but I'm gonna have to test it out and see what I think. But yeah, it's so good. I didn't expect to enjoy it so much, but actually I just love it. I think it's so cool, and I might do it as like a memories thing, so I could even do it about like a book that I've really enjoyed, like Wuthering Heights, or I could do it about something that's happened in my personal life or something, and just do like a little vintage spread that kind of captures the emotion and feeling of that, but through like scrapbooking, if that makes any sense. I feel like I'm just rambling this morning, but yeah, I do actually have 2 things I need to, well, one's to film, one's a voiceover, and then I need to get going. So I'm gonna stop talking, stop rambling, get on with my day. I hope you're all doing well, and yeah, catch up with you soon. Morning. I am a little bit worried that I am this awake on a Saturday morning, but that's fine, we're gonna roll with it. I do want to go shoe shopping before work, so this is gonna be quick, and I'll probably take you alongside because I really wanted to do it yesterday, but the shop closed at the same time we closed, so I did not manage to do that. But never mind. Do we need any more shoes? No. Am I gonna have a look and hopefully buy some anyway? Yeah. Okay, so reading news. I finished Wuthering Heights, and side note, tangent here, this took me 4 days to finish. And it's only 337 pages, and I feel kind of bad because normally this would be done in 2 days, but I have been so busy lately that I'm just not really getting much time to read. Like, don't get me wrong, I tend to get about an hour to an hour and a half every day to chill out and read, but we're working full time, trying to see family, trying to see my partner, and also editing videos, filming videos. Like, I just don't have the time at the minute, and it just means that I'm reading so much slower than normal. And I cannot remember the last time I had a day to myself where I just didn't leave the house, didn't get spoken to, and was just able to read, and I miss it. Like, I genuinely just want that, where you don't have to do anything. But I'm gonna hopefully try and schedule some time in July for that. That's what I'm hoping, but it's another really busy month, so we'll see if it actually happens. So yeah, I feel kind of bothered that it's taken me so long to read these books because it's putting behind all my reading plans, and it makes me a little bit apprehensive about July because my July TBR is huge, so we'll see. It's just where it's all getting busy again, but hopefully things will settle down soon. Anyway, this book ended up as 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, as I said, and gave you that little bit of an update. All the themes in the book I think are really well done, really well explored. None of the characters are likable in this book, but they're not meant to be. They're all petty or cruel in their own ways, and it's just a really interesting look at humanity in a different light, which I found really interesting because a lot of books kind of put like rose-tinted glasses on everything, and I feel like this is a bit more of a harsher look, but it's still showing you a side to humanity, which I don't feel is that exaggerated, to be quite honest. So yeah, I did like it. I will say it missed out on the 5 stars because of the second part. The second part just didn't have the same atmosphere, I feel, as the first part. The first part was really dark and dreary and honestly really difficult to read at times, whereas this second part had the similar vibes but not at the same level, and it was basically about following the exact same thing that had happened, just with a different generation of people. And it's not that it was bad, because I still really enjoyed it, it just deducted from that 5-star mark. I feel like if it had kept up that same feel throughout the whole of the book, it would have been that 5 stars 100%, and it would have been a new favourite. With that second part of the book, it was just a little bit more like slower and not quite as intense as the first part. Again, not that it was bad. So yeah, that was 4 stars. I definitely want to reread this, and I think I will every year. Definitely, I mean, I may not reread it this year, but I will definitely be rereading it next year, and I'm thinking, because I enjoyed it so much, I might also get the deluxe classic edition of it, because I love that edition anyway, and I was going to buy it regardless, but I was like, no, let me read it first, because if I don't like this book, then I don't want 2 copies of it. But actually, I did really enjoy this. I am going to reread it, so I do want to add that book to my collection. So yeah, I will probably be doing that as well. So yeah, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this a lot. So it's just a shame about that missed off the 5-star marks, but never mind. I haven't listened to any more of my audiobook. I'm actually quite surprised, or I might have listened to like an hour since I last updated. Again, it's just I'm so busy at the minute, so I just haven't really had a chance, or I have been so busy or like rushing out the door that I just haven't stopped to think about putting it on. But I am determined to get that finished by the end of the month, so we'll see. And then last night I did read the first chapter of Lady Chatterley's Lover by D.H. Lawrence, and I quite like it. I've only read the first chapter, which is about 10 pages. I was really tired last night, but I was like, I really just want to get a feel for how this book's going to go. And it's already spoken about sex quite a lot, I'm not gonna lie, but it's an interesting look at sex. It's saying that from a female's point of view, that they are more interested in talking and having like an intellectual connection with someone, and the sex is just something that they have to do to keep a man interested, because a man is like a child. Literally, let me find a quote that I quite liked, hang on. And however one might sentimentalize it, this sex business was one of the most ancient sordid connections and subjections. Poets who glorified it were mostly men. Women had always known there was something better, something higher, and now they knew it more definitely than ever. The beautiful, pure freedom of a woman was infinitely more wonderful than any sexual love. The only unfortunate thing was that men lagged so far behind women in the matter. They insisted on the sex things like dogs. What? Oh my god, it's hilarious. I think it's a really interesting look. First of all, I've not read a classic book that actually mentions sex that explicitly, and I find it such an interesting look at sex. Like, men cannot be stated without it, which I'm pretty sure if you're a dude, there is going to be some of you out there that are just not that interested in sex. And I'm pretty sure if you're a woman, there are going to be some of you that really enjoy sex and is not going to be other things, you know? It's so weird and yet such an interesting look. I'm going to hold my full thoughts and opinions so far because it's only the first 10 pages. So I'm really interested to see how this goes, and it explores the theme of sex between men and women, because one, I haven't read a book that does that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've read smutty books, but nothing that actually explores the theme of sex fully and how people perceive it. So this is going to be really interesting to read a classic version, and then maybe I'll pick up like a modern version and see the difference, because I feel like this is going to be so interesting. So yeah, it's really piqued my interest, and it's not what I expected, but I am looking forward to continuing on with this. So yeah, that was a bit of food for thought. When I read that paragraph, I was a bit like, okay then, let's see how this goes. And I have so many thoughts on it, but we're gonna wait until I at least get a bit more through this book before I expand on those. So that's what I'm up to at the moment. I am starting Lady Chatterley's Lover later than what I wanted, but at least I'm getting it started. I don't think I'm gonna get it finished over the weekend. This is another like 300 odd pages, and I just feel like as much as I would love to just get this done, I know I'm not gonna be able to. So today I have work, then I'm seeing my partner, and then I've got a bit of editing to do, and then tomorrow I'm filming in the morning, seeing my partner again, and then probably reading. So in all honesty, I'm gonna hope that I can get 200 pages read and then finish this up on Monday. That's what I'm gonna hope for the weekend. That's the goal. And then with the last few days of June, I will finish up Anna Karenina, which honestly I've been really intrigued and I really want to pick it up, but I also know that if something happens and I don't get much reading done, I need to at least get halfway through this so that I don't take an extra read for July, because nobody needs that right now. Anyway, that's me done rambling. Let's go shoe shopping. Well, in the end, I didn't buy any shoes, which was a bit disappointing, but I was honestly, when I got there in the morning, I thought they opened up before I opened up for work, but turns out the place I wanted to go to did not. So I couldn't go to them in the morning. Anyway, I did have a little look after work, but by that time I was honestly quite tired. I think it finally caught up with me that I was so awake in the morning and I just kind of crashed. But I still had a nice weekend. It has been really relaxing. We didn't actually go out and do anything yesterday. We just kind of chilled inside, which we haven't done that in a while, and I definitely think I need to start slowing down and remembering to take time for myself. And it's always a difficult one because I feel like, you know, I have to see family, I have to do all these things, but at the end of the day you also got to look after yourself. So definitely going to be taking it a little bit slower and just admitting when I can't do things and just finding it okay to take a day to relax. That was a bit of a tangent. Reading wise, I am halfway through Lady Chatterley's Lover and I'm undecided about how I feel about it. I feel like it's actually got really good representation because it talks about having a disability, how difficult it can be, especially when you've been from someone that can walk around and do lots of things to then being stuck in a wheelchair. Like, it's a difficult transition to go through, and I feel like this book does a really good job of that. I mean, it's not saying that your life is lesser by being in a wheelchair, but it is that big change, and how at first you can be okay with it and then it can kind of creep up later to then hit you and make you realise actually maybe you're not okay with it, and it's okay to feel that way. It also talks about depression, which I think is quite good as well. We have like Lady Chatterley feeling so lost and alone and not being able to connect with anything, and she's just so unhappy in herself, and so that was really interesting to read about as well. And also alongside that you also do have the discussions about sex and how men and women view it and how men perceive women to view it in a different way and things like that. So it is very interesting, and I think there's also representation of like asexuality, things like that. It's not explicit, but it is mentioned in here. We have one particular character that's just not interested in that at all and would rather not have any relations with men or women. So I find that is an interesting one. Again, it's not something I've read much of, or it's not something I've noticed much of. So I do feel like there's an awful lot of representation in here. I like the storyline, but I can also say there are points where it's a little bit slow, which I think is the same for any classic book that you get really. I'm finding that there are always moments in it which are a bit slow. Now some are way more obvious than others, so like I preferred the pacing of Wuthering Heights to Lady Chatterley's Lover. This is a lot more slower paced, but I am finding the themes that it explores very interesting. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. There is a lot that you can get from this as long as you can kind of deal with the slower thing. It's definitely character driven, there's no plot line to it, it's just more exploring people's lives and the themes that come up with life really, and how people deal with it in different ways, which, you know, I can say I am enjoying it. I do like it. I did not get to where I wanted to, unfortunately. I still have 170 pages to read of this, which I don't think I'm going to read tonight. So I think it's more than likely looking like I'll get this finished up tomorrow evening, and then I have one day to read Anna Karenina, which isn't going to happen, but I've still read the majority of everything. So that does mean my June TBR is technically finished because I have got over halfway through with both of these books, so I don't have to take an extra read, which was the main thing that I was going for. And I also think I need to relax on this a bit and just realise, you know what, if I don't get all my TBR finished, it is not the end of the world. So yeah, learning a lot this weekend. I think taking that time for myself just really helped make me like realise what's important, and realising that putting myself through stress and things like that, trying to do everything for everybody and please everyone, and also trying to keep myself up to really high standards is just too much at times, and we just need a break. So that's what I learned this weekend. Anyway, I hope you've all had a lovely week. Let me know what you've been up to. I have to admit, I have really enjoyed my classics reading week. Even though I've read really slowly this week because I've been so busy, I have really enjoyed all the books that I've been reading. Oh, actually, I don't have long left on my audiobook of Cemetery Boys. I'm hoping to get that finished up soon as well. And this is really interesting. It's getting really sweet. I can say it's really predictable, like you know what's going to happen with this book. But again, the representation in here is brilliant, and I do think it's a lovely, wholesome book, and it's just one that makes you like feel happy, really. It's really nice, and we're starting to see Yadriel become accepted for being transgender within his community, which is lovely. And there is still obviously the mystery of what is going on alongside it, but that's all going to be wrapping up very soon, so I'm hoping to finish that. And honestly, I think because I've listened to it so soon after listening to Lost in the Neverwoods, I just feel like they're so similar, and maybe that's why I'm not as hyped on it as everybody else is. But I can say that the representation is lovely and the storyline of the friendship that grows is lovely as well. So I can say it's a really nice sweet read, but for me there's not much more to it, if that makes sense. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here. As I said, I hope you've all had a wonderful week. Let me know what you've been up to, and for now, if you have enjoyed it, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to. My social media links will be linked below, and I will catch you in the next one.